Welcome to Pocketful of Stories for little ears and big dreams. Subscribe now and dream with us, one magical story at a time. Tonight's story is about a little blanket that discovered the joy of sharing warmth. Once upon a time, in a tiny village where the hills touched the clouds, stood a little wooden house with a warm glowing window. Inside that house lived a kind little boy named Aarav and his most precious treasure, a small blue blanket. It wasn't just any blanket. It was stitched by his grandmother's loving hands with shiny silver threads and tiny little stars on every corner. Every night, when the wind whispered outside, Aarav would snuggle under the blanket and whisper softly, "Good night, my little blanket. Thank you for keeping me warm." And if you listened closely, you might have heard the blanket whisper back, "Good night, little one. I'll always keep you safe." One frosty evening, when the frost covered the window panes, Aarav was about to fall asleep when he heard a tiny little sound. Meow, meow. He peeked outside and saw a little kitten shivering in the snow all alone. "Oh no," Aarav said softly. "You must be so cold." He quickly ran to the door, lifted the kitten gently, and wrapped her in the soft blue blanket. For the first time, the blanket wasn't just keeping Aarav warm, it was sharing its warmth with someone new. And in that moment, something magical began to glow inside its threads. When morning came, the kitten was gone, but on the edge of the blanket was a tiny muddy paw print, a thank you note written in fur. The blanket felt proud. It had learned that warmth could travel from one heart to another. That afternoon, Aarav carried his blue blanket as he walked through the snow to visit his grandmother. The air was cold and his breath turned into tiny clouds. On the way, he saw an old man sitting by the roadside, thin clothes, trembling hands, and tired eyes. Aarav stopped. He looked at his blanket and then at the man. He smiled softly and said, "Here, uncle, you can have my blanket. It keeps away even the coldest wind." The old man's eyes filled with tears. He whispered, "Bless you, child, you bought me the sun." And that night, Aarav laid in the bed only with a thin sheet. He shivered a little, but soon began to feel a glow in his chest, a warmth that came not from the blanket but from kindness itself. He smiled, because even without his blanket, he didn't feel cold anymore. Meanwhile, under the quiet stars, the little blue blanket glowed softly around the old man's shoulders. Its stars twinkled like constellations, and as the man drifted into peaceful sleep, the blanket whispered to the night, "The more I share, the warmer I become." A few days later, there was a gentle knock on Aarav's door. He opened it and saw the old man smiling, holding the blue blanket clean and folded, and in his arms a colorful quilt made out of old scarves and wool. He said softly, "Thank you, my boy. This kept me safe. Now, here's something to keep you warm too." Aarav's eyes sparkled. He hugged the old man tightly. That night, Aarav laid under the new quilt, with the blue blanket folded beside him, glowing faintly under the moonlight. Outside, the stars shimmered brighter than ever, as if they were smiling down. Because warmth isn't something you keep, it's something you share. This was Pocketful of Stories, where every tale leaves a sparkle in your heart. Goodbye, little dreamers, and keep the magic close.